Welcome to the NAV Viking tutorials. I'm Johannes Gudmundsson, founder of Anecta, a Microsoft Dynamics NAV Gold certified partner. Hello and welcome to the Coffee Mug tutorials. We keep going on approvals, big topic, like I said before. So there's going to be several videos on this. Okay, so today we are actually going to go into the workflows. What we sort of talked about before, just to get into that quickly, is the approval user setup. There is a lot of settings here which are important. This sort of like gives us the approval chain, the limits and things like that. Email and all that. But what really drives the approval thing is something called workflows. And I am going to take a look at that quickly. So if I go here into workflow, and this is relatively new for NAV. We didn't have workflows set up like this before. So here I have a list of workflows I have enabled in the system, and I have two workflows. I have the sales order approval workflow and the purchase order approval workflow. And I've actually been using the sales order approval workflow for the past few videos. We've been going through sales orders, talking about the emails and the limits and the approval chain and all of those things. But we can have a lot more workflows than these. And the workflows are fairly dynamic. You can actually do a lot of things. So what I'm going to do is create a new workflow. And all I have to do is go up here, new workflow from a template. And I recommend, if you're playing around with this for the first time, create workflows from templates. Actually creating them from scratch gets fairly confusing. But from a template, at least you have the basic setup of how a process should work. So I'm going to go ahead here into sales and marketing. Actually, no. See. Yes, sales and marketing. We have something called item approval workflow. So usually we're approving documents like sales orders, purchase orders, things like that. But an interesting addition now is that we can actually approve entities like customer, vendor, item, things like that. Unit price change, a lot of interesting things here. And I'm going to add the item approval, which means that if somebody creates an item, I want them to send an approval for that item. Someone has to look it over, either approve, reject, do comments, etc. So it's on the item card. So I just hit OK, and then it automatically copies in all of the steps. Now this screen here is important. This is an item approval workflow that's created from a template. So there's a template in the system that has all of these steps, and now it created this workflow for us. And here it's describing all of the steps that it goes through as it's going through the approval process. In this case, just briefly explaining what's going on. First, we have on the event, approval of an item is requested, which means you're an item card and you say send approval request. Then, and then indented, we have all the things that happen. If the approval request is then approved, what happens? If the approval request is approved with more than one pending approvals, so that could be like sent to a group. Then what happens? If it's rejected, what happens? Cancelled and delegated. And also, when you actually send this, what happens is this, and I'm just going to quickly get into this. So there's it restricts the item, creates an approval request for direct approver. This is a lot of words here that you're like, okay, what does that really mean? And send approval request to the record and create a notification. So it's quite a few things. I'm not going to dive in detail now on this. I'm just going to go into the item and show you how that works on an entity, at least for this video. And then we can kind of go ahead more into the workflow and change it around. Okay, so I've created this. And one thing that I forgot to do. If I go in here, I of course need to enable it. It comes in unenabled, or disabled, so that it doesn't really go. And if you check this off, it actually starts working. Okay, so let me go ahead and go into Paul right here. I go into an item, and I'm going to go ahead and create a new item. And I get this templates for items. I'm just going to create a retail item. It comes up here. The new item is 70,062. I'll call it 2018 special coffee cup. And so I'm not going to do anything more here. Obviously, I could do more, but I'm going to just go ahead and send an approval request. So right now we have here approval on the entity, which is nice. So I sent the approval request. Approval request has been sent. Now, where does it go? I know you probably kind of heard when I was saying it goes to direct approver. Direct approver means that it's the next approver in the chain. It doesn't go up all the chain because there's no value on the item card. So it can't go through valuation steps. So basically it just goes to the next approver in the chain for this, which in this case is demo. So let me go ahead and take a look at demo right here. This is my demo account. And I am just going to go ahead and look at approval request. Right, so doesn't matter which one I get into. So I can see here, actually, just go ahead. Okay, so here we have, yep, that's better. The latest that I sent here was an item sent for an approval. So this approval request entries actually has all the request entries that have been sent to the user. And I can see here that I have this item, 70,062, coming in to be requested, and I have to take a look at that. And with these approvals, there isn't like pending approval on the documents like for sales order, like a tile or something like that, because this is fairly generic. So you have to get into approval request entries and take a look at that. Obviously, you could create a nicer screen for this, but they are here. Another thing is that it sends an email. So as you can see here, there is a email for demo saying this item requires your approval. And you can click on the item here and approve it, of course. All right. So let's go back into the approval requests. I don't have approve right here. It's kind of interesting. Can't do that. I have to go into the record. Here it is. And I can hit approve, reject, or delegate. So I approve it. And now this coffee cup is approved. One thing that I noticed going through this as I was playing around is that the restrict record that comes in, so technically when you send for an approval, it should restrict the record and then it should release the restriction. I was able to at least put it on a sales order. So I don't know what the restriction is when on the item itself. It did not block it or anything like that. You can maybe dive into that yourselves. I'm not sure if I'll follow up further on it, but I thought that was interesting. I don't know if it's a bug or not. But in any case, this is a way you can approve items. You can do the same thing for vendors, customers, a lot of things, and just use the approval templates to set those up. So thumbs up if you like, and until the next one.